Hi, Jason Knott with CE Pro, and I am honored to be joined today by former CEDIA chairman and principal at Erskine Design Group, Dennis Erskine. Hi, Dennis. How you doing?
Very well. And how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for joining me today. Before we jump into the topic at hand, tell us a little bit about Erskine Design Group.
Well, we decided that there were a lot of people out there that thought they had good rooms and so forth, or they recognized that they weren't good and didn't know how to get there. So we started specializing in designing what we call private cinema, which is a room where we design it from the bones of the house all the way in, so that the optimal experience can be delivered to the customer. And I think one of the things is setting proper expectations as to what they're going to get. And as we moved along, one of the things we discovered very quickly is we have to build the rooms ourselves. We too many mistakes made, and sound quality as well as noise floor in the room will suffer if we don't take all of that business internal to our company. So that's where we're at. So it's a turnkey process.
So what I wanted to talk to you today about, speaking of optimal quality, was the theater built at the brand new CEDIA headquarters in Fishers, Indiana. Tell me a little bit about how you got involved in that project, or tell me a little bit about that project.
One of the things that we had to do with this theater, because it was in an office building where people were there for the purpose of working without interruption, is that we needed to have this room encased in concrete walls. The ceiling, the floor, and all the walls needed to be concrete, only because we were very concerned about, during business hours, demonstrations going on in this room, and it interfering with people who are residing in the building for the sole purpose of working.
Now, one of the elements you talked about optimal performance was the power quality issue. Why is it important, or why was it important in that theater for you to have power isolation?
Well, there's as a standard within our organization, we will not put in a room or put our name on a room that doesn't have power isolation. And I'll go back to an experience we had many years ago with a customer who, for reasons of his own, decided he didn't want that. It was just silliness to put in something to isolate the power from the rest of the building. And for over a year, he fought a hum that was coming through his speakers. The electrician came out, they changed dimmers, they put chokes on the dimmers, they did everything. They tried to trace it down, tried to solve it, they couldn't. And finally he said, well, put this thing in if it'll get rid of the buzz. And we put it in, and the buzz was gone. And so what happens in a commercial building as well as a residential building is it's not just the stuff in your house or the stuff in your building that can interfere with clean power, but any motor load for any other house, a saw, whatever might be used in another house or an adjacent building that's on the same transformer, you can suffer from buzz and hums and dropouts and voltage sags and more importantly, spikes that would be coming as a result of systems being turned on and on elsewhere. And in this case, because it was a commercial building with multiple motor loads and equipment running and so forth like that, it was absolutely critical that we isolate the power of the theater from the rest of the building. And the side effect we get is that everything in every piece of electronics in that room has exactly the same ground potential. So we don't have to worry about hum and buzz as a result of differing ground potentials between different pieces of equipment.
Now, in particular, you chose Torus Power for the isolation transformer. Why was that?
We have used over the years products from other companies that claim to do this. And what we discovered, not naming names, is that by far the most comprehensive and well-designed step-down transformers and power systems were ones coming from Taurus. And one of the criteria we have when we select a vendor is that it has to work the first time every time. And that if something comes out of the box not right, they replace it overnight immediately. Once the job is done, the customer is happy, then we can debate whose fault it was. But let's not have that debate now, and let's not send it back to the factory and wait 30 days for a repair. Let's get the customer happy, and Torus behaves exactly that way.
So what were the results when somebody gets a chance to visit the theater, as I have? You mentioned the elimination of any potential hum in the audio. What are the total effects? Is there a video element affected by the clean power too?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have to recognize in our business, we're dealing with electronics that are very sensitive, whether that be for any number of causes. And when you raise the expectation that their picture is going to be pristinely clear and you're not going to see static and pixels, and that the color treatments and the electronics and the projector are doing exactly what they're supposed to do, then bad power can affect that. And it is visible. And so we put in these step-down transformers and isolation transformers from Taurus just to avoid that. If you think about it for a second, somebody goes out and buys, and I'm picking numbers off the top of my head, $150,000 projector. And they end up getting a $30,000 picture because they won't put in a $10,000 power conditioner. That doesn't make sense at all.